For our presentation, we chose to analyze Netflix and the controversy of Dave Chappelle's stand-up special. Netflix is one of the world's most popular streaming service companies that provides streaming subscriptions to over 222 million people worldwide. As a dominant competitor in the streaming industry, Netflix has a large influence on other comparable companies and carries a large amount of weight in television production, branding, and media. The organization prides itself on values of integrity, social responsibility, innovation, and much more. With a core philosophy of people over process, the company claims to value employee satisfaction and company culture. Netflix's freedom and responsibility statement reads, quote, there are companies where people ignore trash on the floor in the office, leaving it for someone else to pick up. And there are companies where people in the office lean down to pick up the trash they see, as they would at home. We try to be the latter, a company where everyone feels a sense of responsibility to do the right thing and help the company at every juncture. This statement from the company website describes that Netflix is a company that acts through moral character and integrity, holding employees to a higher standard of responsibility, and provides services that display a frame of excellence. Historically, Netflix is known to be a credible and trustworthy company that is reliable, as it was rated eighth most trusted company in 2021 by Morning Consult. Netflix states that what makes them so unique is how much they encourage independent decision making by employees, share information openly, broadly, and deliberately, are extraordinarily candid with each other, keep only our highly effective people, and avoid rules. Overall, Netflix is a company that people believe in and hold in high regards, putting the organization on a higher platform with expectations of excellence in production as well as social responsibility.
The problem stems from Netflix's decision of signing a deal with comedian Dave Chappelle. While Dave Chappelle is a well-known comedian, he has made a controversial and inappropriate comment about the LGBTQ community. Shortly after, not only did the media critics and activists urge Netflix to cancel their deal with Dave Chappelle, but also Netflix's employees voiced their own opinions on the negative effects of keeping Dave Chappelle. By keeping by keeping him, Netflix is allowing these comments to continue on, and as a result, many Netflix employees participated in a walkout on October 20th to voice their opposition on Netflix's decision of keeping him. However, even after the walkout, Netflix still took the side of Dave Chappelle and did not cancel their deal with him, as well as even suspended some employees for their posts on social media and terminated some of the leaders of the walkout. Some employees chose to leave Netflix themselves, and the problem stems from the lack of communication, as the fact that within the organization there is a lack of acceptance from the higher ups. An example of this was when Netflix employee tweeted about the problems of Netflix and its transgender community. Netflix quickly silenced her by suspending her. To get the attention of her superiors, she had to voice her concerns on Netflix, since it is difficult to gain the manager's attention from the upward communication. While the espoused values of Netflix include inclusion, innovation, passion, curiosity, judgment, communication, courage, selflessness, integrity, and impact, the enacted values seem to value profit and risk taking. Netflix prides itself on being an LGBTQ friendly work environment, but its signing a contract with Chappelle to produce additional stand up specials comes in direct opposition to the company culture and has the effect of making employees question whether they still want to work at a company where hateful content is created and dispersed. While three of the key components of organizational culture are innovation, risk taking, and aggressiveness, Chappelle can be considered an aggressive risk with a potentially large upside due to his popularity and controversial public opinion. This should not come at the expense of the five others, which include stability, orientation, outcome orientation, people orientation, and attention to detail. When people work, it is crucial for them to feel a sense of job satisfaction, as that will eventually lead to increased productivity among many other benefits. However, when the tasks that one works aren't in line with the core value one holds, job satisfaction decreases and the company loses some of the valuable assets that is in its culture. In accordance with the types of organizational culture, Netflix seems to belong in the market type organization, as they focus on both control and externals. Netflix seems to take into account more about the value of the company and achievements over the internal dynamics of their employees.
As described before, we've discovered flaws not only in Netflix's signing of Dave Chappelle, but also in the response to the controversy. These flaws are highlighted by the company's acts of leadership throughout their entire chain of command. Previously known to be a hard-headed, narrow-minded leader, Netflix co-CEO Reed Hastings has developed into a more democratic, participative leader according to his employees. This situation clearly demonstrates otherwise. Although Hastings is not the only one making the ultimate decision to respond in such a way of rejecting employees' values and concerns, a reflection of some autocratic decision-making may reflect how the company is run. Therefore, this idea of narrow-mindedness runs down the entire chain of management. According to ILC International, Hastings has made a slow transformation of becoming a more democratic leader and asking for employee input. But in this case, it still shows that there's still some concerns in the overall management of the company's response and actions. On the other hand, Netflix's other CEO, Ted Sarandos, was the public face of the Chappelle case and was in the spotlight responding to the controversy. Sarandos stated that he regrets the way that the organization handled the response to his employees and quoted, "I should have recognized the fact that a group of our employees was really hurting." Sarandos stated that he screwed up when he originally defended the Dave Chappelle special and demonstrates his ability to take responsibility for his actions as a leader. This controversy also raises concern in the company's organizational culture and diversity management. Through the CEO's statement of doubling down on keeping Dave Chappelle, he is suppressing the voices of his own employees and ignoring their feedback. Even after the controversy, the company did not display any substantial diversity or inclusion initiative within its organization. Because Netflix is very market-oriented in their organizational structure where they prioritize production and results over creating an employee-focused culture, this leads to the company suffering from culture as a liability, creating barriers to diversity. Netflix prioritizes marketing their content to all different groups of people and therefore takes risks in the fact that people may not always like their products. An ideal solution to these problems would involve radical change within the organization that prioritizes employees' voices and meaningfulness over profits. Obviously, this is an extreme change and would take a great deal of time to fully complete. On a more realistic scale, the implementation of employee resource groups would help diversify the company and create a closer bonded culture. This could also be achieved by the reallocation of time and resources. Overall, this lack of attention to organizational culture and diversity within Netflix has led to the current controversy, and unless organizational changes are made, will lead to more controversies in the future.
For years, the Trans Employee Resource Group at Netflix has been sitting down with Netflix executives and attempting to educate them on the impact of transphobic content, according to a Netflix employee whose story is featured in an article from The Verge last year. The question is, where should the line be drawn between commentary and hate? For some reason, straight Netflix executives, including CEO Ted Sarandos, thought that they could make this determination without listening to the trans employees who are obviously closer to the issue. By punishing the trans employee for expressing their opinions on Twitter, Netflix is literally silencing them and making it clear that any opposition to executive decisions will be met with punishment. This shows a commanding, directive, autocrat management style from the executives who make decisions unilaterally and don't take the opinions of the employees into consideration when making decisions that affect their experience and meaningfulness. A shift in leadership style to one more democratic in nature could improve communication and facilitate the three attributes of listening, including attention, comprehension, and ultimately acceptance, which is currently lacking. In addition, by giving the employee resource groups more voice on matters they care about, management will make them heard and will make them feel like they aren't voicing their complaints to a brick wall. Of all the determinants of the job characteristics model, task significance and feedback relate most closely to Netflix's issue. Netflix employees who are against having Dave Chappelle's hate-filled stand-up specials on their site likely experience an uncomfortable form of task significance, as they know they're helping to bring the message of the show to the masses of people. This likely lowers their experience of meaningfulness because they are essentially building a product they believe is hurtful. In addition, the feedback they receive for their work is negative too, as the media had lots to say about the special and how it hurts the trans community. Although there's clearly an audience for Chappelle's comedy, perhaps employees' jobs can be redesigned relationally so that employees can work on teams dedicated to bringing certain kinds of content to air, so they can be a part of helping to spread the messages they want to, instead of grudgingly working to spread content they hate. And this would help them experience task significance. Thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We're more than happy to answer. Thank you.